Thank you everyone for being here today. So my name's Susan and I do have 2 children in Portland Public Schools. They're over there. Can you guys wave? Sort of, almost. Thank you.
Mom, you're embarrassing us.
Well, I point them out because, as you can see, they are actual human children. This is an important distinction because there are some in there who would have you think that they are widgets.
Yes.
Because some of the plans that they have put together for education are better suited for widgets than they are for actual human children. Yes. Arne Duncan has come to champion this. He is applauding the efforts of Oregon lawmakers and business folks for all their recent efforts in education reform. Yes, they've been busy. I think that's the idea. They do a bunch of stuff, make themselves look busy, and then perhaps you think they're really focusing on improving education. But in the end, not only do we end up with nothing that helps our schools, we end up with plans that harm them and take away resources from our classrooms, from our students, from our future. Now, I have only recently opened my eyes to this attack on public education. I want to shut them, but I can't. As my awareness has grown, I've gone from thinking this is ridiculous to now feeling this is just plain insidious. We are $3 billion short of providing a quality education for students in Oregon.
That's right.
$3 billion. Yet our state is planning on spending $100 million for demonstration sites for an unproven, data-driven model of education at a time when they are telling us that schools need to do better with the money they already have. How can they even think to do this? We are shortening our school year, laying off our teachers, slashing programs left and right, and the governor wants to spend $100 million on an unproven model for education that gives us nothing but a bunch of data. Now that is just ridiculous. That's right. He is putting his emphasis in the wrong place, on changing the system. When your goal is changing the system, it is easy to lose sight of the students in the system. Had the goal been to actually improve public education for all students, well then we wouldn't have lost sight of the students. So why the focus on changing the system rather than improving and increasing educational opportunities? Well, this is where it gets insidious. In their plan, and I'm referring to this plan, the Oregon Education Investment Team, and I know their plans, and I know a lot of it hasn't gone out yet to the public, and there's probably a very good reason for that. You probably wouldn't like it. But in that plan, it is actually written that the state is the buyer of outcomes, and the school is the seller of outcomes. This definition refers to numbers on a spreadsheet. My definition and your definition of outcomes for learning are different. We want engaged, respected, excited students, hopefully not too sad, with meaningful learning experiences. Reducing their learning experiences to merely producing data and numbers for spreadsheets isn't even an outcome. It is an output. Best brought to you by widgets, not students. This current plan for education that has been talked about in Salem for the past few months has been developed by the Oregon Business Council.
Yep.
Were any of you contacted? No! In fact, it was actually developed a few years ago with funding from the Gates Foundation. But now that legislation passed to move this Gates-backed plan forward, things are on a fast track. The Business Council handpicked 30 people who call themselves LearnWorks. They have devised a plan that sounds great when they do their dog and pony show, but don't be fooled. Read the details. The plan is driven by data, not by student needs. This plan calls calls for keeping all the current standardized tests we currently have and adding more standardization. Students will be tested before the state tests. In fact, in testimony, a LearnWorks member actually stated, this is true, that teachers are begging for standardized, vetted, formative assessments. We have teachers here, right? Is that what you have been begging for? Not only will kids be tested before their regular round of state tests each year, they will be tested before they even enter kindergarten and at age 6. Who does this benefit? Not students, but the testing companies sure have a great deal to gain.
That's right.
Oh, billions.
And coincidentally, or maybe not, Pearson, the publishing and testing company, is producing record profits. They recently bought out Connections Academy, the same group that Representative Matt Wingard is on the payroll of. He just happens to be the rep in our legislature who pushed for much of the reforms in Salem that help put our tax dollars into his pocket with deals that will benefit the proposed plan for education in Oregon for all this data collection. And what do you know? Another member of LearnWorks actually testified that it was after attending a conference put on by the Gates Foundation that she realized what data could do. Oh, the joys of data. Great for testing companies, great for curriculum developers, not so good for our students, especially when we deprive them of meaningful opportunities. Does this focus on data collection get us equitable funding and equitable opportunities for all kids? No! Does this focus on data collection remove the pressures of high-stakes testing? No! In fact, it increases it. Does this focus on data collection stem from community input? No! Say that again? No! In fact, what you just said was the only form of community input this plan has had to date. So say it again? No! And lastly, does this focus on data collection give us curriculum that reflects and respects our community, our students?
No.
No.
Pearson. We get Pearson books.
It is driven by testing and publishing companies. Tell Arne Duncan and the Oregon business leaders and lawmakers we just won't stand for this anymore. They need to focus on public schools for the sake of students, not for profits. Woo!